Welcome everybody to the Indie Game Studio Survival Panel, which is a panel we do about every year here. And the characteristic of the panel is that we all have to wear hats. That's a rule. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panelists. First, Allan Simonsen from Boomzap. So, Allan, can you introduce yourself in a few words?
I make video games. I do not sell ads.
That's a very good introduction.
Allan is not a parasite.
Yeah, I have to
mention. Say that.
I have to mention that Boomzap is in business since 2005, right? It has been one of the biggest indie game studios in the region, even if lately it has had to downsize a little bit.
We're still alive. We intend to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's the main purpose of this panel, by the way. Next comes Gregory from Witching House Studio.
Hi. I make games, I tell stories, and I try to keep sane with this group of friends.
Okay, very cool. And next comes Gerald Tock.
Yeah, I need the mic. Maybe I have two. Now I have two. Okay.
So Gerald Tock from Inzen Studios.
Yes, the Inzen Studio. The only reason I'm wearing this hat is because it doesn't stick on Allan's head. Yeah,
there's a lack of tactile surface.
Yes. So Gerald from Inzen, we make games. We've been making games for the Chinese audience for the past 12 months. Now we're taking it back to Southeast Asia, and we're still alive.
That's cool.
Yes.
And I am Marchal from Sanuk Games. Sanuk Games been in business since 2003 in Bangkok, Thailand. We do casual games on almost every platform. Like mobile, PC, console, and we've been doing a lot of shit and
Amazon
we've never
Fire.
gotten rich, but we are still alive. Now let's get to the first question of the panel. Which platform is the safest bet at this point in time? Like, are you going to go mobile? Are you going to go console? Are you going to go PC, Mac? If you were to pick a platform at this point in time, which one do you think is the safest bet for an indie game studio? Who wants to start on that?
Game Boy Color.
Right. Well, at least you can make a safe prediction. Yeah. It's like you're not going to sell any copy.
Yeah.
That's basically the problem of being an indie developer
F-bomb.
right now. I know. I just thought I'd preempt you. You make a game, right? And you put it out, and you have absolutely no clue how much money it's going to make, right? It's a piece of string, how long is it kind of question. Is this free-to-play game you're making going to make 10 bucks, 50 bucks, 5 million, somewhere in between? So how do you calculate your burn rates, and how do you plan for that, right? And so making games, especially making these free-to-play games, have become kind of commando diving into the future. Like, put your hands behind your back and in you go. And if it turns out that what you're landing on is concrete, you're going to end up with a lot fewer teeth than when you started.
Yeah, I mean, but the truth of the matter is also that you can't work off previous data. The whole thing about the game industry is that you only exist in your own reality. Using clones don't work, right? Going fresh might not work, right? So there is no previous data that you can definitely say that this will be a success. It's also, there's intangible value in the games that you're creating also that might add to the success that might not exist in another game with exactly the same mechanics and things inside it as well.
We used to have the ability to make some sort of predictions, right? This game that is roughly the same audience and roughly the same kind of genre made roughly this much, and we know we're going to make more or less 1x to 4x to 0.5x, right? But now it's 0.000000001x. How do you deal with that?
You go home, you lie down, and you cry.
You can hedge. So I think you can actually hedge. So you can hedge by, I mean, you can say perhaps it's 0.25 from this audience, it's 1x from this audience, it is 1.2 or something. So it's not just a one market thing, right? I think we're in this phase where you really have to pick your audience, and if you pick your audience right and your channels right, you actually need to do a lot more work now, I think. So if you build your relationships right with people who can get your product into good hands, right? So yeah, then you actually have a shot. So it's about hedging your bets between doing some stuff yourself, doing some stuff with other people.
I think what it boils down to is that everything is risky,
Yeah, everything is
period, and it's what's your risk appetite?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just riskier now, but it's always been bad.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always been bad.
Yeah, that's the message, by the way. The whole thing, indie survival, right? It will always be bad.
I think we've had glory days in, like, it's been boom and bust, right? And we've had glory days where indie survival wasn't bad. Like, there were times when we didn't eat cat food. And I think we're going back to the old days now, and we're going to stay there for God knows how long, somewhere between 6 months and 10 years. And then it's going to be boom times again, and we're all going to be having champagne and ladies of negotiable virtue dancing on our laps.
What parties do you go to?
Well, if I may add something, I would say that on Google Play, as well as on the iOS App Store, you have something like 2 million apps, whereas on PS4 or Wii U or Xbox One, you have hundreds of apps, all in all. So your visibility is very much likely to be better. In fact, what I noticed is that when you release a mobile game, you send press releases and nobody covers it because nobody cares about a new mobile game that is one among several hundreds getting out that day. Whereas when you do a console games, the thing is, you don't even need to contact journalists. They will come to you. They will notice that your game is about to be released. They want to know more about it. So I would say the visibility problem is solved on console by itself, whereas it is almost impossible to solve on mobile. And that would lead me to say that consoles are a safer bet at this point in time. But
Please don't come there. Go away. Don't come to consoles. If you all come there and make 450 console games to launch every day, nobody wants to care about our console games. So fuck off.
Agreed.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that, but still.
Everyone, you should all make mobile games, all right?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Right. I think we can go to the next point.
So I have notes because I'm like that. I work like that. So if it looks like I'm reading off script, yeah, I am.
Okay, very good, very cool.
So when do the monkeys come out?
I'll still move to the next point, which is, okay, would you rather follow the trends, do what everybody thinks is going to be the next big thing, like VR, or would you pick an untapped niche?
There's absolutely nothing you can do that's scarier than doing what everyone else is doing. Right? And specifically following the acknowledged wisdom. Because the acknowledged wisdom is what was popular 6 months ago. And by the time you finally finish your game, which will take 4 times as long as you think it will be yesterday's news, right? So in 18 months to 12 months, the game that sounded really good 6 months ago is going to be absolute shit. You're going to be Clashy Clone number 425.
Now, I would say that it's not so much about following trends or picking an untapped niche. It's picking what's right for you. Deciding exactly what you and your studio is good for, right? Because if you're following trends, that means that you don't have an identity. And if you're picking an untapped niche because that niche exists rather than because you're actually good at targeting that niche, then you're in trouble. Either way, you need to do something that's true to yourself. And your players can feel that when it's something that's true to you. And because you do that also, you kind of develop in a bubble. When a game comes out, it is as good as you want it to be versus did I make it in time for that particular hot spot? You know, like, oh, zombies are the thing, right? So I don't think it's one or the other. It's really, it's one of those hipster find yourself kind of nonsense to decide what you really want to make.
Yeah, so that's why I meditate. But yeah, so I think for us, we're actually doing a bit of both. So we're studying a bit of player psychology. We're also studying the cultural aspects to see what elements we want to bring out in the games. And then we're actually doing a small prototyping run alongside the main game that we're launching on 25th June. So yeah, I think you can sort of fuse those two together. So one thing that I can say about the one that we're prototyping now is there's a bit of competitive gameplay, there's a PvP thing, And we've done a similar prototype before that sort of worked well when we took it to game shows and stuff. So we're building something that has that experience, but the gameplay will be quite different, but the feeling is the same.
This is the mic.
Oh,
Close
so,
your mouth.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Sorry,
Not inside, though.
I'm conversational like that, so sometimes the mic will go away, unless I'm singing, which, yeah. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified.
Okay. Yeah.
The petrified one would be me.
The thing is, if I take us as an example, we are quite good at making small, casual games, retro-styled games, like a Bomberman clone, like a Breakout clone, like a Tetris clone, that are very good for what they are.
Bomberman inspired, Tetris inspired.
Yeah. Thanks for correcting my vocabulary. I mean, basically, yeah, we chose what we are good at, and unfortunately today it is what not many people care about anymore, or actually what not many people want to pay for anymore. So we have to find, and I didn't find it yet, a niche where there are some consumers willing to pay money.
I think we...
So where is that?
Well, yeah, I would be working on it right now if I knew.
I think one of the things that we did, so we experienced this when we were designing for the Chinese audience. We did this thing where we looked at the play history of gamers in China and what they were exposed to and what elements we wanted to bring out. So we realized that the Chinese players tended to be very analytical, so they like doing things like stats management and stuff like that. So we tried to include more of these elements in one of the games that we're launching soon in China. So I think, yeah, you sort of have to understand the player psychology side to fuse in elements into the games that you make. So
Right.
Yeah,
So I'm going to do something very foolish here. I'm going to agree with Ian for a while. I try to avoid being hipster like that. Chris is the one with the big glasses and the beard, right? But if you have no real clue what makes money anyway, and honestly you don't, I don't, you don't, we don't, anyone who tells you they don't is lying, why don't you make something that you care about? Why don't you go and make something that actually is something that excites you, right? Because likely if there's something that really excites you, it is something you can get other people excited about. And that's not just your users, that's also your other audience, which is anyone who's going to market that for you. Whether it's Twitch and YouTube streamers, whether it is magazines, whether it's the Apple and Google gatekeepers, right? If you cannot give a shit about your product, if you're just painting it by numbers and trying to make it competitive, it'll shine through. It'll be a soulless bitch of a game.
How do you come up with the right game idea then? Should I answer it?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't come up with it so far. As I said, we make cool games, games that I enjoy playing myself, but that do not resonate very well with the audience, or at least with the paying audience. So obviously, it's not the right idea. And the right idea is something that will make you feel good about what you're doing, but that will also pay the bills. And you have to find the right path. And indeed, there's two ways. There's the way in which you analyze the market and see what may be having a demand for, or the way where you are passionate about doing this anyway, so you do it anyway, and somehow you have to conciliate both, right?
I don't think you necessarily have to park your commercial brain at home just because you're making a game you care about. I think Witching Hours does that much better than we do, but it is possible to make a game that you actually care about. At the same time, you think about, how do I sell this thing, right? And as an engineer, it's very tempting to build it and they will come, but the reality is they don't. Like, if you launch a game on the App Store and it's not marketed properly, you will be number 423 out of 550 today.
I'll jump in and say that I don't think there's such thing as the right game idea. I do think, however, there is the right execution of a game. So that means you could make anything, and it can be the right idea if you know how to execute it and you know how to sell it well. So this whole idea, right, is that, this is the right thing to do, that is immediately the wrong direction to take. Rather, if anything is, you throw me anything, I used to be in advertising, you throw me any brand and you want me to make it exciting, I will make it exciting because that is my job. So likewise, as a game maker, whatever game idea you throw at me, I will make it fun because that is my job, right? So it's not about picking the right game idea, but rather how do you execute it.
I think, yeah, even with moderate execution, you can actually break even and do okay if a game is moderately executed and yeah, you can.
Disagree,
Wait,
please.
moderately executed and you have the right relationships in place to push your product.
Well, I would go the other way around.
Something a bit
I would say,
I would say right now the world is either boom or bust, and if you're pushing something that's not top class, you're going to be an also-ran and you're going to make $500.
well, the right execution is a must-have. I agree on that. I don't think you can succeed with a mediocre game at this point in time on the market because there's just too much competition. But it does in no way guarantee success.
Yeah,
I think that there are game ideas that no matter how well executed will not sell because they do not resonate with the audience, and you cannot ignore that fact.
So I have an example from what we learned from our experience in China. So we realized that there is a thing where the minimum graphics requirements and stuff like that, right? The minimum requirements for effects and stuff like that. So shipping a game there, yes, you do have to, like Ian said, it's about the execution, it's about the polish also, but if the core gameplay is missing, then of course you've got, your game won't do well. But
Well, that's part of the execution, though.
yeah, that's a huge part of the equation. But so what we realized that some of the Chinese companies did was that they focused a lot on the polish, but less on the core gameplay. So you also have really expensive games that failed. So I think core gameplay first, but then after core gameplay, you have to see what's the minimum requirement that the people are used to and what people identify with, and then try and meet that as a minimum or really overdo that. I think you guys do really well in terms of like art style and getting to that.
Yeah,
that
basically,
audience,
if it's something that we don't personally like, we don't let it out.
Yeah.
That's.
The other thing, this is one of Chris's development tips, right? You have certain things you actually care about in the game, right? The game has a lot of elements. You pick the 2 or 3 things that you're going to innovate on, that you're going to really focus on, and you polish that to hell. That's where you innovate. That's where you work your ass off. And all the other shit that you don't really care about in this instance, the UI or the monetization or whatever element that is not what you innovate on, you find the best in class and you get inspired.
Now, if your game is free to play, the monetization is not something that you will not care about. I mean, it's the heart of
But are you
your...
innovating on it?
Well, I cannot answer this myself because I would not do a free-to-play game at this point in time. But yeah, I think that's the most dangerous thing to innovate on as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually something about free-to-play as in, I think in different, you also have to be mindful of the value that the person in the country attaches.
I will interrupt 1 second because actually this is the next question. Is free-to-play a viable option for indies? My answer being no, as I already uttered it. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it still is, unfortunately. But I think you have to have a very real understanding on how many users you actually need to be profitable on free-to-play. And how many users you need to give a shit about your game, right? If you have a game that costs $9.99 and you get 10,000 people to care, you have made $100,000 minus whatever taxes and skim off, right? But if you get 5% of your users to pay you about $5, you need a shitload of users.
Well, never mind that. There's also the matter of indie. When you define as indie, right, more often than not, you don't have somebody actually doing the numbers and crunching and deciding exactly how your users are going to convert. It is a full-time job to figure out how you want to monetize. Monetization design is a thing. It is a role, it is a person. So if you are an indie company and you don't have the space to have someone think about this thing, right, it's going to be very difficult because you're going to wear the I'm a gamer hat and be very fair. I can tell you very, very bluntly that in Ravenmark, our second game, Mercenaries, which is a free-to-play game, without fail, all the reviews said it's a fantastic game. It has the fairest free-to-play model. It's also a free-to-play model that doesn't work because fair means I'm not making money.
Well, it's not fair to you.
Yeah, exactly. Because why did that happen? It's very simple. I looked at our game as a gamer. What would I be willing to do as a gamer? And that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah, Super Awesome Quest was the same thing. I mean, if it take the total amount of money made out of that, I might be able to buy myself a coffee. But
That's a very expensive cup of coffee.
I know. Especially when I consider all the money I put into it. But yeah, the users love it. They're like, this game is so generous is actually the word they use.
I think there's sort of like a strategy to okay, so one of the things is the definition of indie, but also there's a way to do free-to-play well and launch free-to-play well. So of course there's third-party app stores. There's stores that you can test on, and there's stores that you can optimize on. There's things like you can slice up the rights of your game to be published in different territories with different people, and then also try and self-manage it in other territories. But I understand as an indie team, you're small, and it's difficult to have role allocation like that.
Plus monetization design doesn't overlap very well with any of the other tracks. So it's very hard to have a person that can do that and something else.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a very specific mentality and way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
So it's not as though you can go like, oh, you're a designer, okay, you can also do the monetization. It doesn't really work that way.
So, yeah, free-to-play, I mean, has a much higher complexity of product development than premium, because in addition to making a good game, you have to solve the equation of earning money with it, which is straightforward on premium, but is a headache on free-to-play, right? Not only is it a headache, but you have an equation with parameters with extreme variations that you have to fine-tune very much, and you have to engage a lot of money, because the other thing is that free-to-play relies on acquiring traffic, and acquiring traffic is expensive, and you are taking a lot of risk on a very unstable equation, right?
Okay, so I have one word about UA. Don't.
Oh, I thought you were trying. I thought you were trying to swear. Okay.
No. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Next time you really get a burning desire, as an independent developer, next time you get a burning desire to spend money on user acquisition, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to empty your bank account, take it out in $10 notes. $5 notes don't burn very well. You put it all in the garden, and then you light it on fire and watch it burn. And that'll be a more profitable use of money than giving it all to Facebook or the fucking leeches outside.
Oh, there we go.
Third F-bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keeping track. So, so I think that there actually is a way to, so before you get, UA comes in, so there is value in UA, but it's much later in the cycle.
There's also a matter of scale.
Yeah.
Because if you do user acquisition at a very low rate, you're not going to see any returns. You got to go into maybe the $1 million, $2 million mark before you can actually see the wheel start turning. You know, so I do think it's also.
So you're
This fire wasn't big enough. I need a bigger one.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Yeah. You're essentially saying that it is totally out of reach for indies.
That's the message, actually. Yeah.
No, but I think there are, so now there's a company outside called Aptoid, and they run a third-party store, right?
How much are you getting for this?
Please do not advertise these
How much are you
guys.
getting for this?
I'm getting zero. We're not even working with them. But okay. So one of the things is that they run a third-party app store, and the whole thing is that you can actually operate your own store. So what I'm saying is that if you find enough, okay, say if you're a distributor, or say if you have a product, right, you want to get into a store, you find a niche store, a small store, and then you get the store to like, can I test with your customers for a little while to see if it works? And then you can sort of build the traffic from there. Then if it works in one store, maybe you go to other stores. I think there's a way to build it out, but it's like campaigning for votes, right? It's like campaigning.
That's why there's such things as campaign managers, you see. It's the same thing as a monetization guy. I need a guy to do this as well.
But the other thing about running your own app store, right? You now replaced the discoverability of nobody knows what my fucking app is with nobody knows where my fucking store is, right? And so So for Malaysia, right? We decided for marketing purposes, Chris was going to stream the game every day. And then one day he comes to me and says, Alan, I don't know, how do I promote my stream? Right? You made a stream to promote in game, and now you're going to promote the goddamn stream. How far of rabbit hole does this shit go?
But you got to reach out and communicate.
I'm way ahead of you guys in the F-bomb count.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are ways. So one of the things that I like to do is actually talk to the people that actually are working there, like Twitch. So we have a Twitch representative in Singapore, Tammy, right? And she takes care of Southeast Asia. So when she's not here, but if I want to do something, so we did something for like an indie dev day on something. I just dropped her a mail, and then we provided a graphic, and it went up on the front page. So it's about talking to the platform holders and getting buy-in from them. I mean, that's what I believe should be done, and that's how it should be done.
So actually,
next time, can you remind me of that before Chris does his 41-hour epic live stream?
Yeah,
because I don't think he's doing one of those again anytime soon.
That's the thing. It's like, if I had known this was an issue, I would have definitely got you in contact with her.
so you see, the interesting thing that Ian has is that he understands the process of, you have to go out and you have to rally people, and you have to rally people behind your cause, right? And his cause right now is Masquerada, right? And so his cause is that, and so he goes out and rallies people. It's just part of his thing that he does, right? Alongside his role in the company. So he has integrated that into his being, right?
Very zen, but yeah.
You can tell I've been meditating, right? Yeah. So yeah, once it's integrated into your being and you accept that it's part of your journey, then you have to do it.
Next.
So you can see which of the panelists does meditation and which of us does combat sports.
Okay. The next topic is pretty interesting. Crowdfunding. Will it work for you? Namely,
Why?
It worked for him, and it failed for Boomzap.
Oh.
Asshole.
Combat sports, bro. Combat sports.
Yeah.
Will it work for you?
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's terrible. Don't do it. Well, it could work, but I mean, it's kind of like it's a much more public opportunity for failure, more than anything else. It's like anything else, like even launching a game. Because if you launch a game and no one buys it, it's kind of quiet. You just go like, if anyone asks how are you doing, you just go, everything's great. Right? But in crowdfunding, you can go to a page and go like, guys, I done. Right? Everyone knows it, right? So and there are little things that can happen because a Kickstarter campaign goes across a few days, right? Let me put it this way: on the day that we started Kickstarter, we were like, yeah, for the first few hours, and then Prince died, and then we couldn't talk about anything.
Oh,
yeah. So life happens, things happen that you really don't know whether it could work out. Even like some of the buy-in that we get from industry people like Ken Levine, right? Mm-hmm. It's quite crazy to be able to trade emails with one of your heroes, right? But he backed us, and I could not have done that. I could not have created the opportunity. That was one of those things where he just chanced upon it, he liked it, and it happened. Things that I can do, right, is like Angry Joe backed the game. I'm sure some of you all know Angry Joe. How did that happen? I was late to get to PAX, and I saw him with like 3 or 4 people in front of me, right? Yeah. So I left my bag with the guy. I could have probably lost my bag in the process. I grabbed him, and I told him about what we were doing, asked him to visit the booth. So there are things that you can do. You can control some situations, but others, more often than not, it's just luck. So as far as I'm concerned, crowdfunding, Kickstarter, we started planning 6 months before, and it could have failed. That is the nature of it's just a very public failure more than anything else.
I have some commentary on that. So you see, because he's integrated it so much into his being, right? And he's at all the shows and stuff like that. So he naturally, it's putting himself in that position. So he wouldn't have been in that position if he hadn't been going to PAX, he hadn't been in that center of where
the
stuff
mic,
was
dude.
happening.
The mic.
The mic. So he wouldn't have been able to do that if he hadn't sort of put himself in. No, oh yeah, why?
No, you're Vietnamese now.
Yeah. So he has to put himself out there, right, to be able to meet these people and to be able to talk to these people. So one of the things I think is you actually have to be out there, you have to be evangelizing, it has to be part of your being, right?
I'm not even going to try a Mexican accent. But I would say crowdfunding is something you do very much with your heart on your sleeve. And it hurts like hell when it doesn't work. And it didn't work for us. I know Chris was devastated by it. Me, I'm a programmer. I don't really have emotions.
Doesn't have feelings.
Indeed.
Yes.
A very quick one. One thing about Kickstarter campaigns, if you are going to do one, really heart on the sleeve is very important, because if you're going to be clean, polished, and professional, then you should be not on Kickstarter. You should just be go find an investor, because that's where you pitch to an investor with that kind of polish. If you're talking to an everyman, right, you have to be an everyman. You have to be one of them. I pretty much killed myself doing updates and things like that, but mostly because I wanted people to know I'm a real person and I'm doing something interesting. And yay!
Oh, yeah!
Okay, Gerald, you talk, I drink.
Okay. So crowdfunding, there's an interesting thing in that. So for us, we're launching, but we're learning a lot from the crowdfunding process. I think there's a lot of takeaways that you can have. Like, I think what Ian was
Things to
talking
do
about.
and things not to do.
Yes, things to do, things not to do. Yep.
Yeah.
Exhibit A and Exhibit B. But also, I think the personal nature of Kickstarter is that you get to know the makers of the game, you get to know how the game came about. And these are things that you actually do come across in the development process, right? And it's just, and I think players of games like that, they like, if you're a fan of the game, you want to understand a bit more, right? It's just like people who watch movies who want to go to the director's cut and see why the movie was made and stuff like that. So there's bits to learn from there, and I think you can actually roll that into the launch cycle of your game. You still have to talk to people, you still have to get the story out there, right? And the more material that you have, the better it is. And the fact is that you probably do have quite a bit of material to back that up.
Well, in fact, Chris, Allan's partner, had an opinion after failing on Kickstarter, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Chris having an opinion? Surely not.
No, Chris having an opinion is not the thing that makes sense. I mean, it's a given. It's very much a given, actually, given the character. Yeah, his opinion in this instance makes sense. He says you have to have one of three things. Either you already have followers, like somehow you had with your game, or you have to have a brand. Like, for example, the guy from Sega who did a Kickstarter with millions of dollars. Yeah, he had the brand, he had the franchise. Or you have something so outstanding that people will virally communicate about it. But that's the hardest thing to
Like
get.
Oculus, for example.
There's also a matter of storytelling. I said this yesterday, I'll say it again because I think it applies, is that, yes, most games have a story, but your company needs to have a story as well, because that's what people pick up on. That's why people share it on Facebook. That's why journalists are willing to write about your game. So if you tell them that I'm launching a game and it was written in code by with a guy who did it with his toes, right? Then it makes sense. There's something to talk about. But if just this is a game, write about it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, so there's something about sentiment, right? And I think we see that the effects of sentiment in a lot of different areas, including elections.
Okay. So in the Kickstarter, but we also greenlit at the same time. And the greenlit went through. So we've been in early access on the same game for 5 months. And I think one of the things that affects Kickstarters and early access is their users are really scared. Like they've seen a number of high-profile failures, including some of the biggest names in indie. And so they're kind of wondering, well, are these guys going to succeed, or are they? And so in our case, we've been live streaming game. Every day we live stream for 2 hours, and that's gotten us a lot of very good feedback from the community. And we committed that every Friday we will do an update to the game, so they know we're still here. We haven't taken all their money and run away to Barbados. And every time we do that, it validates it to the user. They feel, oh, I backed a winning horse. I did something good. This game looks like it's getting better and more amazing, and they're taking our feedback. And that's gotten us a very good user base, and I really think that's valuable.
Okay, next topic. So who is it worth considering working with? Would you work with publishers? Would you work with an investor if you have the chance? Would you work with user acquisition companies? Or
I'll
anybody
say,
else?
since Allan's drinking, no.
Nobody is worth working with. What are you doing?
No. You go ahead. I will marshal my thoughts.
Then I will walk into it. Okay, so for us, I think it's all of the above, right? So for us, we're working with all of the above, because but we've picked our investors well. We've picked our investors who sort of understand what it means to start a company, to operate a company, understand what it means to be part of a market. So I think we sought a lot of advice from them in terms of who to work with, who to partner with, and they've been very helpful in working with us to structure deals like that. So that's the only reason we've been able to enter the Chinese market, because we had advice on who to work with and how to do an investment deal well, how to do a publishing deal well. And so that's helped us a lot. It's also helped us to think a lot about the business, a lot about survival, right? And so I think, we've worked with investors, we've worked with publishers, we've also gotten investment.
Have you worked with publishers or publishers?
We've worked with publishers who invested in us. And they've been very good about it, and very good about why they're investing in us, investing in because we also come with, we've done a lot of community work in Southeast Asia, and they're investing partly in that, understanding how Southeast Asia works, moving into Southeast Asia in the longer run as well. So there's that. UA we haven't worked with yet. I think we're very much doing the community approach first. We also don't, we're also not in that club. So we're not going to do that. Publishers and investors, definitely.
Yeah, I guess to elaborate on what Allan said, I'm going to rehash thing that has been said in past years in this very panel. There are two kinds of publishers. There are those who invest in the development of your product. They are the actual publishers. And there are those who call themselves publishers but will only take your game once you have taken all the financial risk.
There are only one type of publisher. The other one is not a publisher.
It's a distributor.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to use a less polite word, but okay, let's
That's
go with
why I
distributor.
stopped you.
And so the right answer to the second type is please go fuck yourself. You add please because you're polite, right?
Well, I mean, all said and done, all that glitters is not gold is something that I say very often. So even if there are interesting offers, you got to really take into account exactly what you are dealing with. And this is it's less about what's in the contract, but it's also about the person you're working with, because their personality will affect very strongly the direction that your company is going to take, that the kind of help you're going to get, and the kind of network he has as well. Because if he is a closet asshole, he's going to be surrounded by assholes.
Yeah. So I agree with that. It really is about the person, and the person, perhaps the leader of the company, the spirit that they bring to how the company operates, and then how everybody else operates within the company. So we've really experienced that. I think we've benefited from having and actually being able to challenge them is a big thing. So being able to fight healthily with your investors or publishers, that's a good thing. It's not a one-sided relationship, right? You're both entering into a marriage together. Yep. Sorry, I just got married in January, so you're both entering into a marriage, right? So you better work out the details well. You understand what you're getting into, right? Understand why they're investing in you. Work out the terms. Work out everything up front, right? Don't submit yourself to a one-sided agreement, which doesn't make sense, with someone that you're not even happy with, right? All the conditions actually apply. Same mechanics. Right?
I'm trying so hard not to do anything bad here.
Go ahead.
No.
Release yourself.
Yes. Oh no. that would be bad. Well, I would say for both.
Metaphorically, yeah.
For the third one, no. UA for indies, go for himself. But publishers and investors, it's very important that you understand what you're going into. Right? If we're talking about a publisher that's willing to take financial risk on the front side, so it's an actual publisher, not a distributor, doesn't call himself a partner or anything like that. It's just someone who's going to work with you to make games together.
Yeah, the thing is actually someone who's going to take risks, because if they don't take any risks, they take a finished product and they put it there on the market, and
it sinks, they're not really bothered. And you sank
Yeah,
12
they
months
let
of
you
your
sink.
team into it.
well, they have their back covered.
The good publishers will actually talk through the terms with you. So, but that's rare. There are lots of...
And the good developers will actually go to their friends and make sure that what the publisher said actually is the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
So
if you can't read the contract, you have no business at all signing it.
Yep.
Lean on your community. You are surrounded by people who love what they do as well, and chances are, even if they are unsure, they will know somebody who can help. Because you are not in this alone. The whole idea of being indie is to be part of a community that is bigger than yourself and bigger than your company. So when you lean on them and when you're willing to give help as well, you'll find that people will go above and beyond for you. I've seen this, I've felt this, I've given my own, all I have into it as well.
Okay.
And I think we will keep doing so.
So for both publishers and investors, it's very, very important you walk into it with your eyes wide open. Right? They are doing it for a reason, you're doing it for a reason. They may be wonderful, wonderful people, but they still have a bottom line, they still have a goal to consider. At the moment you take your money from the investor, there is a clock ticking. They want a payday at some point. If you take money from the publisher, they will have opinions. Your beautiful Snowflake game will no longer be just your beautiful Snowflake game. Someone else will have opinions. And if you go in there and think you're going to take the money from stupid people, and then you're going to still keep on going, things are going to go from marriage to 50 Shades of Grey very, very fast.
Okay.
Except just one point, with the good, not with the good, but with the investors that understand, they actually will understand when you fucked up, and
Great.
+1, yeah. They will understand when you fucked up, right? But they will.
The beer is helping.
They will also back you through that. So I think that's the thing. It's not. It's finding some. So it really is like a relationship, right? It's not. I'm with you for the upside as well. The good ones are actually, and this is more for investors, not so much publishers, but the good ones will back you through the tough times because they're in your company with you. They have equity, right? So it's in their best interest that you don't die.
Yeah, the same thing with publishers. That's why you want their skin on the table. Otherwise, when it's going to get tough, bye-bye.
I have one last question, if we have time. Okay. Nowadays, in 2016, how do you efficiently promote your game? Boomzap is making Twitch sessions of their games.
I'm actually going to leave the mic with Ian.
Okay.
Because he's the one who actually knows how to do
Yeah.
Okay. Most people have a plan. They have a strategy. They have an idea of how they want to promote their game. I can tell you that personally, I don't really have one. What I bank on is the relationships that I have grown over the last 6 years. Talk to them and express a need. I need help. And people have gone above and beyond for me. So if you ask me how do I, what is a plan to promote it, I don't know. What I've seen so far is the response of 6 years of time and friendship and relationships that I've grown. And I think that that's something very important about being indie, because if you talk about value, there's very little value, you are creating as an indie for a wider audience. That quid pro quo idea that Singaporeans enjoy, this person knows this person, therefore he's important. That doesn't really exist when you're indie. We're a bunch of nobodies. We're trying to swim in a major current. We only have each other. And, by supporting each other, that's how we get past. I can tell you, just yesterday, Justin Ng came to me and like, hey, I have a friend from BBC that might be keen on writing about you. And, I didn't ask him for it, right? But he offered it because he knew that there was an overlap there, and, I had something interesting to say. That person was interested to listen. So you build those relationships, and karma works in its own way. I think that's the best way to put it. So goodwill matters. And that's why I'm always very much about don't be an asshole in the industry. We will know, and we will point it out very, very often.
It is a small and inbred industry. And nobody is more than 2 steps away from someone who knows if you've been a dick. So don't be a dick.
don't be an asshole, and also do use your network to check upon other people's assholery.
No, but never mind the calling out on people. But do you all watch Louis C.K.? And there's one where he's talking to his daughter, right? You should never. Okay, so his daughter was complaining, why does this girl get more? I think it was ice cream in her bowl rather than in mine. I can't remember the exact what it was about. But he said like that's life. Life isn't fair, right? The only time you should look in someone else's bowl is to see whether they have enough. And that is the essence of being indie. That is the community that drives us, that keeps us afloat, that keeps us sane. So if you are always thinking about what someone else is doing better than you, you are not helping the community at all. There is always someone else that could use your help. And if you do that constantly, even the people that are doing better than you will notice this, and they will go out of their way to help you as well. That is goodwill. That is what being an indie is about. If you want to walk away with anything, you build that community, you put in that effort, it will come in back in spades.
So the interesting thing is if you look at the guys on this stage and some of the people in the audience, you'll notice that everyone here and some people in the audience, they do work in the community, right? And it's about growing the larger community, right? So it's understanding what you do as part of your project and what you do informally as part of you, right? And I think the more you sort of invest in the community, the more you try and help out somebody else as well, the more that spirit kind of continues, right? And you all start growing together, and you all start singing Kumbaya. Right.
There we go.
I'm actually also going to be upbeat on the last question. So if any of you have been unfortunate enough to read the bios in the little guidebook you got, like always, my bio ends in the sentence, life is not a zero-sum game. Okay. And that's been the case for the last 15 years. It's always the last line in every bio I ever write. Life is not a zero-sum game, right? If you help people, you don't do it because you expect a payout. You do it because ultimately, if everyone benefits, you will benefit as well. The rising tide will carry you as well.
Very good, yeah. I guess we're out of time. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for the panel. Yep. And thanks for bearing with us.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello. So first, thank you very much for this entertaining panel, like definitely. But let's say that one of you is like in a month or during 2016 super lucky, right? And then all of a sudden you have something that is extremely successful, and you see it and you're like, wow, this is a horse, right? This is going to be awesome. How do you prepare for that?
I don't think I have a strong enough of an ego to actually feel that way. I constantly think everything is crap, and then I'll just smile and go like, I'll do it anyway.
I think that's that event happens. Of course, there are breakout hits, right? Like sometimes you stumble upon something, but the success is actually a result of the practice being good. So it's the day in and day out of the company's practice, how decisions are being made, why are we making decisions like that. It's all that, and then you sort of grow through that, right?
So I agree with you, and that's why I'm going to disagree with you. I think he's entirely correct that in the successful cases where there is a surprise hit, a well-structured company will ride that hit forward. What I do think is a lot of cases are one-man, two-man game companies that never expected the hit, and when it happens in much the same way as a lottery winner. And pretty much before you know it, they've been to the digital version of Las Vegas and blew all their lost money on blackjack and hookers.
So obviously it's a sudden success, and then now the owner has his own team and making other games and.
But he also had a mental breakdown along the way. So.
Yeah, because success is powerful somehow.
No, I think to put it into context also, for him, there was a bit of social, like he started getting contacted a lot, and then just not being used to the limelight, and a lot of people just suddenly contacting you at one point. That's a big thing for someone to take in. So, yeah. Well, but he has learned from that. I think he structured quite a good team. We've met some of the team, so.
I would say if you are frightened by the prospect of struggling after success, try struggling because
After
of failure.
failure.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. So thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.